Hello friends and welcome to my channel. Well, today we are working on, for the most part, week 3 of Fort Worth Fabric Studios Mystery Quilt. Last week we did the Christmas trees. You can see them on the wall behind me there. We made 8 of those. I've only got 2 hanging, but all 8 are made. And this week we get to make stars. Yay! I made one ahead of time to show you. These are the holiday star blocks, and stars are my absolute favorite thing to make. So I'm really excited to make the rest of these with you guys. I've made one. We need to make 8 again, just like the trees. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how to make one of them and let you loose to make the other 7 on your own. And I'm going to make my other 6 after we make one together. And then at the end, we'll talk about what's next. So the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to make some flying geese units that look something like this. I've made a few ahead of time just to speed things up, but we're going to do one together. You need 4 flying geese per block, but if you're working on all 8 blocks at one time, you need 32 of these. Now that might be the best way to do it, is to do all the blocks at the same time, and you can just chain piece do all of your squares on one side first, trim those, press those, and then come back and do all of the squares on the other side. But whatever way you like best. Some people like to make one block so they have a sample and then do all the other blocks. Sometimes I like to do that too, and it also feels like you're making a little bit of progress if you can see something done when there's this many blocks to make. So we're going to get started by making the flying geese. So I'm going to take my fabric and put them right sides together. All these sizes are in the pattern, and we're going to sew from one corner to the next, or the lower left corner to the top right corner, diagonally. Now you might want to draw that line to see where you're supposed to sew, or you can fold your fabric diagonally and follow the fold line, or you can use diagonal seam tape, which is what I have on my machine, to see where the line needs to be. I like to do that for some of these smaller pieces. Now when I have big huge squares or flying geese to do, then I draw the line. But when it's small enough that I can see where the line's supposed to be with my tape, I just go ahead and sew it. It saves a little bit of time. I'm going to trim this 1/4 inch away from my sew line towards the outside of the block. And you'll probably want to do that with a rotary cutter and a ruler. I'm just eyeballing it for now. And we're going to give that a press. Oh, and I need to turn my iron on. That would probably help me to press that. Alright, let's get this iron turned on here. And that's going to take a couple minutes. But I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice finger press. And because it's pressing so well just with my fingers, I'm going to go ahead and add the other side while I'm waiting for my iron to heat up. And then we'll give both sides a press really well with the iron. So again, I'm just going to lay the square on the other side, and we're going to again sew corner to corner. This time I'm going to start in the middle here where those cross over, making sure my pieces are lined up really well. Oops, that didn't sew. I may have just run out of bobbin. Let's check. Yep, sure did. I ran out of bobbin. So, lost bobbin chicken. I thought there was enough to finish this block. I have been sewing a lot, or I sewed a lot over the weekend. And I should have checked that before I started today. So, that was my bad. But all's good now. Today is Monday, and I do try to clean my machine at least once a week. So, we're going to call this Maintenance Monday. So if you sew a lot over the weekend, it's a good day to check your machine and see if you've got fuzzies in there that need to come out and things like that, which I definitely do, because when I replaced the bobbin, I noticed that there were some fuzzies in my bobbin area. So it is time to give my machine a nice clean. And it will be happier for it for sure. All right, let me grab my iron now. And my magic juice. All right. And we're going to give this a good press. Oh, this fabric is so pretty. I love these holly berries. I don't know if it's something about, I was born in December, so maybe I'm more excited about these holly berries than most people, but they're just so pretty. I really love poinsettias and holly. It's gorgeous. Okay, so once you have all 4 of these guys made, you've got, here I've got 3 of them. You've got some squares that you're going to add 4 per block, and you're going to add 2 squares to the ends of 2 of your flying geese, just to look something like this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, I've got 1 made. We're going to go ahead and add these to another one of the flying geese units. And then we're going to give them a press, and then we can assemble the block. Really super simple block this week. I love stars, so they're super easy anyway for me, but this is one of the easier stars to make, I think. The tedious part is really making all the flying geese, but once you get those done, then this block goes together really fast. But that also might be why you might want to do 1 block at a time instead of all 8, or at least do 1 block and then maybe do all the other 7, because it's kind of nice to see yourself making progress and feeling like you're getting somewhere. I like to chain piece because it makes things go faster, but sometimes it can get boring and it can make it feel like it's taking longer because you can't really see any progress. Okay, so let's give this a press. All right, so after you get these 2 made, these are going to become the top and bottom row of this block. This is going to be your center, this big floral main fabric here. And then your other 2 flying geese are going to be the star legs that you're going to put on there. So let's put the star legs on first, and then we'll put that top and bottom, and then this block is done. Nice and quick and easy. Except for the fact that you have to make 8 of them. But the block itself is easy, which is nice. Especially if, like, I know there's a lot of you out there that still work full-time. So you could really, like, just make 2 of these or so at a time if you only have, like, 20, 30 minutes to sew. And then come back each day and just make a couple more, and you'll still be done by next Monday. So that's a nice thing. I pressed the top and bottom row out, so I'm going to press the center one in. I definitely need to clean my machine. I can tell, I don't know if you guys can tell with your machines, but I can tell when my machine needs a good cleaning, and I also have to oil my machine. Because it sounds a little different, and it definitely sounds a little different today. Not bad, it's not horrible or clunky yet, but it's definitely a little sluggish today. So all right, so let's give this guy a press. Like I said, I would press this in towards the square because I pressed the other 2 out towards the white squares, or the background squares I should say. This fabric is so pretty. It is starting to cool off here in Ohio, and I love fall weather, so I'm really excited about it, and I love the upcoming holidays. So all of the winter holidays are wonderful, so I'm excited to have the cooler weather and be making this quilt, it's starting to feel like we're coming out of summer, which summer is not my favorite not my favorite season. I know a lot of you love summer and you don't like the other seasons, so I'm sorry for that. But fall or autumn is definitely my favorite season, and I actually don't mind winter. I lived in Arizona for a few years, and but I'm originally from Ohio. And out there it was hot or less hot. There wasn't really season changes. And that's the one thing when I lived out there that I really missed was the season changes. So I was really happy when we came back to Ohio to be back with the season changes. All right. Plus I miss the water. There's no water out there. Everything's brown. Here it's green. And we live right by Lake Erie, which I grew up on the lake over here. So being back by the lake just makes my heart happy. Nothing wrong with Arizona for those who live there. It has its own sort of beauty. It's just when you grow up with season changes and in a different environment, that was a really harsh environment for me. Okay, well that is it. That is our block. So I'm going to go ahead and give this guy a press, and I'll come back and show you it finished, and then we'll talk about next week. Well, thank you so much for joining me today to sew up these cute holiday star blocks. Love it, love it, love it. Don't forget, you're going to make 8 of those. So next week for week number 4, we're going to be making some other blocks, but only 4. So not as much work next week. And then the week after that, we get to put this whole quilt top together. I am super excited to see how this whole thing is going to go together. And I love that we're finishing it mid-September, so we'll have plenty of time to quilt it and get it bound and all those things before Christmas. So with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful week. If you're just finding this now, go ahead on over to Fort Worth Fabric Studio and check out this pattern. I have it linked down below in the description box. Thanks again to Jody at Fort Worth Fabric Studio and the whole team for everything that you do for all of us quilters. This is a great sew along. I'm having a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see you guys again soon. Take care and have a wonderful week. Bye.